Hi everybody, it's Maureen Muldoon and we are on lesson 121 with the workbook lessons, and we are officially out of the review. So, not that I don't like reviews, I do like reviews. I think the reviews are great actually. Sometimes I hear people say that they don't want to do the reviews because they've already done that lesson and they just want to get through the lessons, but this course is not about, as we explained earlier, this course is not about getting through things. It's about eroding the ego and finding peace. So this lesson is forgiveness is the key to happiness. Forgiveness is the key to happiness. Here is the answer to your search for peace. Here is the key to meaning in a world that seems to make no sense. Here is the way to safety in apparent danger that appears to threaten you at every turn and brings uncertainty to all your hopes of ever finding quietness and peace. Here are all questions answered. Here the end of all uncertainty ensured. Forgiveness is the key to happiness. That's the key. So if you want to unlock the door to your happiness, forgiveness, that's it. It goes on to say why. It says, the unforgiven mind is full of fear and offers love no room to be safe, no place where it can spread its wings in peace and soar above the turmoil of the world. The unforgiven mind is sad without the hope of respite and release from pain. It suffers and abides in misery, peering about in darkness, seeing not, yet certain of the danger that lurks there. So when we're in unforgiveness towards one person in the world, it's usually because there's some sort of fear and we've given this person some power. And so when we give someone else the power over our own peace of mind, not only do we lose our peace of mind, but the entire world becomes a possibility for harming us. Because if one person can harm us, then anyone can harm us. But once we forgive that person, or as many people as you need to forgive, once we begin to forgive and say, I can forgive in the authentic way of forgiving because nothing ever happened here, and I can be free from all of the illusions that have played out, we no longer have to walk the world with anything but a smile of a conqueror. Looks like this. I'm not sure what it looks like. This is no joking matter, though. This is serious business, as far as serious as far as we can get serious with A Course in Miracles. Unforgiveness is like your kryptonite, man. It will take you down. You know, it steals our happiness. So we want to make sure that we work with forgiveness so that we can regain our happiness. The unforgiven mind is torn with doubt, confused about itself and all it sees, afraid and angry and weak and blustering, afraid to go ahead, afraid to stay, afraid to waken, afraid to go to sleep, afraid of every sound, and yet more afraid of stillness, terrified of darkness, yet more terrified at the approach of light. What can the unforgiven mind perceive but its damnation? What can it behold except the proof that all its sins are real? So that's a horrible place to be. It's like living in a horror story. So why is that? Well, because we have created this script where we're like, someone outside of us has, taken something from us or has caused us to be outside of peace. We need to crucify them. And because there's only one of us here, we're literally pointing the finger at ourselves. If the world is a mirror and everything you see is a reflection of your mind, and you're pointing the finger at one person, you got 1,000 fingers pointing back at you, and no wonder you would be terrified. So we don't want to do that. You know what they say, like, what you give out returns to you multiplied abundantly. This doesn't just work with finances. This is a tool that they use when in regards to tithing or in generosity. It's in giving that you receive. But this law also works in unforgiveness. Like if you forgive anger, it returns to you multiplied abundantly. If you give judgment, it returns to you multiplied abundantly. So we want to move into forgiveness so we can clear the path to our happiness. We don't need any of that old garbage. No matter how big and how immense and how well embedded this story is, it's not worth your peace of mind, man. You gotta let it go. Hopefully it will give us some tools in this lesson to help us to let it go. If not, I have a few suggestions, but I think it will. The unforgiven mind sees no mistake, but only sin. It looks upon the world with sightless eyes and shrieks as it beholds its own projection rising to attack its miserable parody of life. It wants to live, yet it wishes it were dead. It wants forgiveness, yet it sees no hope. It wants escape, yet can conceive of none because it sees the sinfulness everywhere. The unforgiven mind is in despair without the prospect of a future which can offer anything but more despair. Yet it regards its judgments of the world as irreversible and does not see that it has condemned itself to this despair. It thinks it cannot change, for what it sees bears witness to its judgments is correct. It does not ask because it thinks it knows. It does not question, certain it's right. So that's the truth and the whole truth. As long as we are in this state of unforgiveness, we're like, oh no, I know. He did me wrong and my life is horrible because of it. Or this happened, they did this thing and they ruined my life. As long as we don't go back to re-question that story and peek behind the curtain and say, wait a second, what? Is this still true? Is this worthy of my peace of mind? Like, could I maybe start to question this and say maybe, and radical thought here, maybe I was blessed by this? Like maybe there's some way that there's a blessing in this. Now you might think, Maureen, you know, I was this, or I was, I'll use my own personal thing, like, my husband left me for Miss Universe. Like, how are you supposed to forgive that? And it's like, you know what? I got so many blessings from that. Like, if he didn't cut that apron string and set me free, I would have never learned how to swim. I would have never known my own power. I would have continued to be in a very, very codependent relationship. And so I was blessed by that. I was very blessed by that. I didn't get to that realization, and that was only one of the small blessings that came from that. He's been a master teacher in my life. But there's been so many blessings. I won't go into them because we're on 6. But suffice it to say, when I move through forgiveness, I am doubly blessed. Forgiveness is acquired. It is not inherent in the mind, which cannot sin. As sin is an idea you taught yourself, forgiveness must be learned by you as well, but from a teacher other than yourself, who represents the other self in you. Through him you learn how to forgive the self you think you made and let it disappear. Thus you return your mind as one to him who is yourself and who can never sin. So this is fantastic information. So sin is not real. It was not ever created by God. And so since sin is not real, forgiveness isn't really created by God either. But it is the bridge that returns us to our right-mindedness. So it's like as soon as we brought in the idea of sin, the Holy Spirit was like, we got the cure for that. You cannot be separate from God. So we're going to show you how to get back to your right-mindedness. And that is through forgiveness. And we're going to take all of the things that you thought you did, or all the horrors that you believed in, and we're going to give you the perfect classroom. You're going to embed those sins in your brother, and you're going to forget that they're yours, and then you're going to accuse him of the thing that you thought that you didn't want to take responsibility for. So in my own case, it was that I thought I was abandonable. My mom died when I was younger. I was like, okay, I'm abandonable. And then from that moment on, I believed in that idea of somehow I was separate from the allness, the love of God and the love of my mother and all of it, And so I began to attract relationships where this was something that they were master teachers of this. So like I was like, I'm abandonable. My first husband was like, I know how to abandon people. Let me play that part. But it was the only role that was left in my script to play. So I was going to attract somebody, it was going to be him or somebody else, that was going to give me a master class on the illusion of abandonment. And when he left me, and I thought, oh my gosh, he left me, and this is horrible, and this is heartbreaking, and I'm no good, and this is a bad thing that happened to me. I got to look at that, and I got to go, oh my gosh, wait, I thought I was abandonable, but I'm not abandonable. And that was just a classroom that I needed to go through to teach me the truth. And then in teaching me the truth, reminding me of the truth, I got to have this authentic forgiveness classroom. It says, each unforgiven mind presents you with an opportunity to teach your own how to forgive itself. Each one awaits release from hell through you and turns to you, imploring for heaven here and now. It has no hope, but you become its hope. And as its hope, do you become your own. The forgiven mind must learn through your forgiveness that it has been saved from hell, and as you teach salvation, you will learn. Yet all your teaching and your learning will not be of you, but the teacher who was given you to show you the way to you. So in this thing, they're using teacher as capital T, so it's like the Holy Spirit's going to help you walk out of hell. And it's going to bring you the classrooms and the teachers you need to rise above this crucifixion that we have authored. Today we practice learning to forgive. If you are willing, you can learn today to take the key to happiness and use it on your own behalf. We will devote 10 minutes in the morning and at night another 10 to learn how to give forgiveness and receive forgiveness too. So even if you feel like, oh, I don't, I've done a lot of forgiveness work, there's always more work to do. So, I think it's Byron Katie that says, like, you still have forgiveness work to do if you're still breathing. So even at the subtle forgivenesses, like even if you think, oh, that's not really a big thing, I don't really want to work with that, it's so subtle, and work on it. Give it 10 minutes. Give it 10 minutes to really heal your mind so that you can have forgiveness. The unforgiven mind does not believe that giving and receiving are the same. Yet we will try to learn today that they are one through practicing forgiveness towards one whom you think of as an enemy and one whom you consider a friend. And as you learn to see them both as one, we will extend the lesson to yourself and see that their escape includes yours. So I said in the beginning of this recording, maybe they'll give us a tool to walk our way out of hell. And they do. This is a really good tool. Sorry to be so goofy about A Course in Miracles, but my friend Joey Wolf used to use this in his workshops, and it's like you take one guy that you don't like and one person that you do like, and you try and transform the love that you have for one onto the love that you should have for the other, because we shouldn't have special relationships. We should be like the sun, shining love on all things, people, and places, like not having special relationships. So this is how we're going to work this lesson today. Begin the longer practice period by thinking of someone you do not like, who seems to irritate you or to cause regret in you, and if you should meet him, one you actively despise or merely try to overlook. It doesn't matter what the form of your anger takes. You've probably chosen him already. He will do. I love how they're always like 2 steps before us. They're like, that person you're thinking of right now that you don't want to do forgiveness work with, that's the exact one we're going to work with. Now close your eyes and see him in your mind and look at him a while and try to perceive some light in him. Somewhere, a little gleam from which you had never noticed. Try to find some little spark of brightness shining through the ugly picture that you hold of him. Look at this picture until you see a light somewhere in it, and then try to let this light extend until it covers him and makes the picture beautiful and good. One exercise I give myself and I give out to anyone who's doing forgiveness work is to think, not just to cover them in light, but also think of one good thing about them, if you can. Just think of one good thing, if you can. Look at this changed perception for a while, and turn your mind to one you call a friend, and try and transfer the light that you learned to see around your former enemy. The light you see around your former enemy, perceive him now as more than a friend to you, and in that light, his holiness shows you your Savior, saved and saving, healed and whole. Then let him offer you the light you see in him, and let your enemy and friend unite in blessing you with what you gave. Now are you one with them, and they with you. Now have you been forgiven by yourself. Do not forget, throughout the day, the role forgiveness plays in bringing happiness to every unforgiven mind, with yours among them. Every hour tell yourself, forgiveness is the key to happiness. I will awaken from the dream that I am mortal, fallible, and full of sin. I know that I am the perfect son, the perfect daughter of God. So this is the lesson today. It's a very powerful lesson, especially if you work it, which I hope that you do. And, it says practice for 10 minutes. So I would really suggest that we go ahead and, don't just listen to this recording, but literally like sit down, put your clock on, and think of that, person that you despise. See some light around him. Hold him in your heart. See if you can see him the way his mom sees him. See if you can see one good thing about him. Remember one holy thing about him. Remember one pure thing about him. Then see your friend and see if you can transfer some of the light onto your friend. and then see if that you can see them both uniting, and they're bringing you the love that you extended. So it's an interesting exercise, and it's really going to be very helpful if we actually practice it, which I hope that you do. In the meantime, thank you for coming to the course this day. I appreciate your practicing. And leave in the comments like anything that comes up for you. Like if you have an experience of freedom, if you have an experience of feeling lighter, if you have a memory that is triggered that brings a little bit more peace to your mind, if you have any transformation in using this lesson, please share it with us, because I think it would be really helpful for other people who are watching the video to read and say, oh, okay, so maybe I should try it because it seems to be working for other people. It's definitely worked for me. And so that's why I'm sharing these lessons, because it set me free, man. And the most beautiful place on earth, it says in A Course in Miracles, the most beautiful place on earth is where an ancient hatred has become a current love. So imagine if you're responsible for transforming this broken down, jagged world into a beautiful place, and you can do that through forgiveness. Thank you. Namaste.